Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do a video talking about Spider-Man. Who actually controls Spider-Man? Is it Disney? Is it Sony? And the answer is very complicated. And we're going to talk about it in regards to No Way Home, because No Way Home is burning up the box office. And it's interesting because a lot of the comments we got on our review is they have to do with Disney. This is a Disney thing. You guys hate Disney, but look what Disney did. Disney. And the reality is, and we'll show you, that this is very much a joint effort. And in fact, I would say Sony has more to do with Spider-Man currently than Disney, even though they share that character. If you actually watch No Way Home, and there will be spoilers in this video, the MCU connection is used to basically bring all of Sony's Spider-Man characters into the MCU for one big mashup movie, and it also ties into the other Sony Spider-Man movies that will have nothing to do with the MCU. So it's really interesting. It was a very smart deal, but Disney got greedy and they almost lost it all. But at any point in time, Sony could take Spider-Man away. And I do think they're just using Disney right now to build up the Spider-Man brand.
Well, I think people know that because of some comments Feige made. I think that they're aware people know that that could happen.
Yeah, Feige, this is one of the few times that he seems like he's definitely in the back seat. Amy Pascal is definitely in charge of Spider-Man. And it seems like they have to reach a consensus as to what's going to happen, make it fit with the MCU or whatever. But make no mistake, the Spider-Man we're seeing right now is definitely a product of Sony's as much as it is Disney's. And I am waiting for the other shoe or boot to drop. Now, the foreseeable future, it seems like they're going to keep working together until it becomes not so beneficial, I guess, for them to do so.
We had one person go, nah, they're not doing any more MCU Spider-Man. Oh, no, they are working with Sony moving forward. It's been confirmed and discussed with Feige and Amy Pascal a couple times.
Yeah, and
wrong.
Yeah, and I think the ending of No Way Home sets it up that we're going to have a more traditional Spider-Man. I have to think that was Sony, because the way Spider-Man was introduced in the MCU was to tie it into the Avengers.
Right. It was all about being an Avenger, not about being Spider-Man.
Right. And that I think was Disney. I think that was Disney's doing, because I don't think Sony would have done it.
Well, what sucked was the other characters like Iron Man and Captain America. They got to be on their own before they were an Avenger, so they weren't just an Avenger, but Spider-Man was just, he's Avenger Jr.
Yeah. And that's one thing we really did like about No Way Home. We'll talk about this more, was the fact that it does set up a future for Spider-Man to be completely detached from the Avengers and, frankly, the rest of the MCU.
If they want to.
If they want to do that. Plus, we have the multiverse, so it could just be like, oh, yeah, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Cool, we'll just drop them into another universe, or we'll just bring another Peter Parker or Miles Morales in from another universe.
I'm thinking it's Miles Morales.
Probably.
That's my guess.
So let's talk about that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 247,000 subs. Look at that. Almost 248,000.
I know. I'm so excited.
So hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube has a tendency to unsubscribe people.
We might make 250,000 by Christmas.
We might. We're only 2,000.
You could tell me that was an unattainable dream.
We can dream. We can all dream. Dream a bigger dream. So if we could hit 1 million.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. That's an unattainable dream by Christmas or New Year.
But 250,000, and most of that growth has been the last 2.5 years. So crazy. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Greatly appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
And I remember when we didn't know if we'd ever hit 10K. We're like,
more of that in the gaming channel too, though.
Yeah, we actually are. Yeah, we do have a second channel. I don't know if people realize that. Clownfish Studios, we have gaming and art. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing more with that in 2022, so go sub over there.
Don't get subscribed over there, too. You can put a link, can't you?
Yeah, I can drop a link in here. So let's talk about this, though. This is the channel where we talk about pop culture, and we talk about comics, and we did give a review, spoiler-filled review of No Way Home.
Definitely go see it.
Yeah, we think it's worth seeing. It was a good movie. It's interesting, though, because there were a couple of comments that was like, this movie doesn't feel like it's part of the MCU. It was too dark and too serious. And I'm like, yeah, because they were going for that Sony Spider-Man vibe. especially with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back into it, and the Green Goblin actually being a threat.
He already said spoiler alert for people bitch about it.
Yeah.
He did say spoiler alert at the beginning. Just FYI. So.
Yeah, so they are in it. And yeah, the tone of this movie, and this is why I think I liked it so much, was it felt like the ultimate Sony Spider-Man mashup movie, with the MCU just being used as a way to bring these characters together. Doctor Strange being used literally to bring all these Sony Spider-Man characters into the MCU, and then he disappears for most of the movie.
He's a plot device.
He's a plot device. Like, how are we going to get all these other Spider-Man in? Now, if Disney had their way, I can tell you, I don't think they would have been on board with that.
No.
Because, the Sony iterations of Spider-Man predate Disney, but they also have they have to get on their hands and knees, I think, and thank Sony for that, because of the success of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. That kind of paved the way for the MCU. They're like, well, what characters didn't we make a bad deal with? Because we hoard out Spider-Man, we hoard out the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Oh yeah, we got these the Avengers. I guess we'll use the Avengers and try to make them into something. Guardians of the Galaxy.
But even then, it wasn't them who started off with that whole thing.
No, it was Paramount.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Disney just kind of fell backwards into this.
I mean, they've done a great job with it. I'm not saying they haven't. For the most part, except for a few bombs, most of them are really good movies. Just that I think now it's Spider-Man. It seems like Sony, I think, is more in control than Disney.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. Again, the MCU's been kind of a hit or miss. Shang-Chi was better than we thought it was going to be. Eternal's not so good, I guess.
I didn't watch it, so.
But this article was put out here today. Disney and Sony are actively developing Spider-Man's MCU future. So just to back it up real quick here, they almost had the deal go south a couple of years ago.
Yes, I think everybody remembers that.
And what happened was that Disney wanted way too much money. Disney wanted a 50-50 split. And it was so bad that Sony actually publicly tweeted the specifics. And they're like, they want 50-50. They want half of the revenue from the Spider-Man movies, and that's not going to freaking happen. Right now, they get 100% of the merchandising, I guess. And I think the deal now is Disney only gets 25% of the profits from the Spider-Man movies. They wanted half, and they wanted more creative control, and to work out that deal that, Tom Holland kind of stepped in.
Now, keep in mind, Sony has the rights to do the Spider-Man films. They were letting Disney use them.
Yeah, people misunderstand this. Just because, and it's kind of the same way with the theme parks. People are like, how are the Marvel characters in the Universal theme parks? It's because of a pre-existing deal. Just because Marvel technically owns the Spider-Man characters, there was a deal made before Disney bought Marvel that means that they're not allowed to have the movie rights back unless they buy them. And I don't think Sony is going to sell them. I mean, they've got, other than Amazing Spider-Man 2, all the Spider-Man movies have made a shit ton of money. They're not going to give them up.
No.
Anytime soon. They have the video game rights, etc.
So they don't owe it to Disney to give it to. They don't have to. Everybody was really excited when he showed up in Civil War because, no one was expecting that we get Spider-Man. Everybody wanted to get Spider-Man in the Avengers, but we didn't think we would because he was tied up with Sony.
So what happened, as I recall, was, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was kind of a misfire at the box office. Not because of Andrew Garfield. He's great, but just it was a sloppy movie. And at the time, if I remember the interview, Amy Pascal thought it was going to be Andrew Garfield. Like, we're just going to move Andrew Garfield over to the MCU.
Oh, yeah, I think that was,
Yeah, and he thought that was what was going to happen, too. And then Kevin Feige was like, no, if you want to come into the MCU, we have to reboot Spider-Man again, and we're going to help with that. And they made him, they're the ones who decided to make him Iron Man Jr. And I think, if I remember correctly, the interview with Amy Pascal, she's like, I cried. Because she's like, I was so upset but they also knew like their best chance at, at least keeping Spider-Man in the game was to bring him to the MCU.
Well, yeah, because everybody wanted. So I remember everybody went nuts when Spider-Man showed up in the trailer, and we were all excited about it. But that does not mean that Disney got Spider-Man back. That's not what that meant. It just meant that Sony was working with them to use the character.
And they can take their ball and go home whenever the contract's up. But it looks like they're at least going to do 3 more movies.
They don't want that. Basically, they don't want to do that because they don't want to hurt the fans, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's what Feige's saying.
That's what Feige's saying. But he's kind of like, it's so weird because normally he's very outspoken, whatever. But when it comes to Spider-Man, it's Amy Pascal you hear from. And it's Pascal Pictures. And it's Sony at the beginning of the Spider-Man movie and Columbia Pictures and all. I mean,
At the end of the movie, it was Sony, big Sony across the bottom.
yeah. So they're making sure this is
Sony.
them. They're playing ball for now, but eventually I think they're going to take the ball and go home, and they're already setting that up. So they talked about there's a fourth MCU Spider-Man film with Holland in the works, but we don't know what's going to happen with 5 or 6. It would be intended as the start of an all-new trilogy. That said, subsequent reports threw cold water on the idea of such a trilogy currently being
She flat said it was, and so did Feige.
Yep. So Amy Pascal, again, she's the go-to for Spider-Man. She was asked to clarify her comments during an interview with The Times. We're producers, so we always believe everything will work out. I love working with Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. We have a great partnership along with Tom Rothman, who runs Sony and has been instrumental, a great leader with great ideas, and I hope it lasts forever. Feige said, Amy and I and Disney and Sony are talking about, yes, we've actively begun to develop where the story heads next, which I only say outright because I don't want fans to go through any separation trauma like what happened last time.
He's saying, yes, we are working together currently. That's not saying that will go to fruition, but the intent is to work together currently on these films.
Yeah, and that could go south at any point in time.
They're being very careful how they word it in case it does, but they said they do not want to cause a problem like what happened in 2019. That's when, Tom Holland was like calling people up drunk. What do you call it? Like Iger up drunk or something? I don't remember.
Something like that. I mean, that's the story. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it made good financial sense, and it was kind of a weird place to end Spider-Man with like, hey, he's been outed to the entire MCU, but the end. So they couldn't just leave it there, and I think that was kind of dumb to end it there that.
They probably did that to try to keep control.
Yeah. But, again, if you watch No Way Home, they basically wiped the memory of Peter Parker from the entire MCU. He is no longer, I don't think, an Avenger. He doesn't have access to Avenger tech. Happy doesn't even know who he is. He's making his own costume. He's very much his own character, which is where fans, I think, wanted to see him in the first place. But I think the Iron Man Jr. Iron Boy thing was Disney. Like we're gonna bring.
Of course it was Disney.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Spider-Man into it, but he's gonna be Tony Stark's bitch. And then there were rumors he was gonna be Captain Marvel's bitch and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I hope not. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's funny though. What this reminds me of when you hear them talking is like mom and dad fighting over the kids in a divorce. We don't want to hurt the kids. So we're going to play nice together for the sake of the kids. That's what it sounds like.
For now, until it doesn't make sense anymore. And I really don't, personally, I don't see them playing ball in the MCU, especially with Venom doing as well as it has in Morbius, if it does well. And as they do more of their own like Spider-Verse movies and they do really well, they're probably going to be like, why are we giving Disney anything? Like we're doing it all ourselves now. Iron Man's dead. He's not Iron Boy. Let's just take our ball and go home.
Right.
And there's nothing, Disney can't force them to give the rights back because Marvel made a bad deal, 30 years ago, and they're still paying for it.
Personally, I'm kind of glad they made the bad deal because I don't think I'd want him just left up to Disney.
No, but this is interesting. This is talking about the new trilogy, the MCU trilogy. This is coming from Screen Rant. No bleak comment from Feige back in 2019 appeared to suggest Sony now had an ability to integrate Spider-Man into their own Spider-Man spin-offs. Spider-Man also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes, said Kevin Feige. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. They talk about the multiverse. Sony recently renamed their spin-offs Sony's Spider-Man universe. Widely regarded as the first hint the two studios had extended their deal and Holland Spider-Man would be slinging in the films, but I think that might end at some point. Sony's in charge of this shit.
But as of now, Sony is in charge of this, but I think they're trying to work together for now. For the fans, they said.
For the fans' money.
For the fans' money, yes.
For the fans'
money. They both
money.
want your money, so hey.
And as soon as there's trouble, I think that could end, and they've already kind of set it up now that Spider-Man can go off and do his own thing. But there are going to be more Spider-Man movies in the MCU for now, but given how much money No Way Home is looking to make, $250 million debut, the ball is definitely in Sony's court. Definitely. So Disney better be nice, not get greedy.
I think the fans just want good movies.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get better Marvel movies from Sony, at least in the foreseeable future, than Disney. Just an opinion. Gonna wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.